Hello and welcome to this Introduction to Natural Language Processing course. We'll be delving into the exciting field of NLP and looking at techniques that enable computers to understand, generate and classify human language. You won't need any prior knowledge on NLP to get started with this course, just some basic Python skills and maybe a little familiarity with machine learning. This first section of the course sets the stage for our exploration, where we'll be looking at what we mean by NLP and some applications in our everyday lives. We'll then move on to text pre-processing, which is arguably one of the most fundamental aspects of natural language processing. We'll work through each of the topics step by step and then add a practical lesson to allow you to practice your new skills. In section 3 of the course, we'll be looking to extract key components of our text through parts of speech tagging and named entity recognition. And in section 4, we move to understand the emotions in our text through sentiment analysis. We then move on to see how we can prepare data for further machine learning, and we'll cover text vectorization. Once we've done this, we're ready to move on to more advanced topics such as topic modeling and creating our own custom classifier for our text. Section A is a full practical case study where we'll take everything we've learned and apply it to a real-world business problem. You'll then have a notebook to add to your portfolio and show off your new NLP skills. The course concludes by discussing the future of NLP, and we'll cover deep learning and large language models, and talk about where NLP might be heading next. So let's embark on this exciting journey together. Let me introduce myself before we get started. My name's Lauren Newbold, and I've been a data scientist for several years, both at large organizations and small startups, working on a whole range of different problems. Most recently, I built a custom text classifier using state-of-the-art NLP technologies to classify text coming from interview data in developing communities. I've also spoken at several conferences about the benefits that NLP can provide for developing countries. I have a passion for getting people excited about data and the insights it can provide, so I'm thrilled that you decided to do this course with me. Now that I've introduced myself and the course, let's get started with our first lesson where we introduce what we mean by natural language processing. Natural language processing, often just abbreviated to NLP, is a field of AI that allows computers to understand, interpret, and generate human language data similar to how we would communicate with one another. There's a wide array of techniques used to process and analyze this data, involving statistics, machine learning, and deep learning. NLP came to life in around the 1950s, but early methods focused on rule-based systems, taking grammatical rules of the language and using this to try and process the text. However, if you've ever learned a language before, you'll know that trying to just learn simple grammatical rules isn't enough to be able to speak and have a conversation like you truly understand that language. More recently, we've had massive advancements in technology and the availability of large datasets for training our NLP models. This has led to now having things like ChatGPT that can really effectively understand and communicate with human-like language. For data scientists, NLP provides such a powerful set of tools for gaining insights from text data. This might have had to have been done manually before, or just not at all. So by leveraging NLP techniques, you'll be able to save massive amounts of time and uncover insights that previously might not have been uncovered. In our next lesson, we'll be looking at some examples of how NLP systems interact with our everyday lives. Let's illustrate how far NLP has come and how much it interacts with our everyday lives with a few examples. One key example is search engines that will use NLP to understand a user's query and provide relevant search results. NLP techniques are used to extract keywords, understand the intent of the user's query, and return relevant and matching web pages. Another great example is how your email account can automatically detect spam emails. Classification algorithms can be used to find patterns that differentiate between unwanted and legitimate emails. Customer support systems and chatbots also use NLP to understand customer queries. Data scientists can build conversational agents that can understand what the customer is asking for and provide relevant responses back. There are so many more examples that we can go through, and I encourage you to try and think of a couple more. At the end of this course, you'll have the initial building blocks to start building your own NLP solutions. Supervised and unsupervised learning are two fundamental approaches to tackling different types of NLP problems. Which you'll use will depend on the data that you have and the questions that you're trying to answer. The sections in this course will go through both supervised and unsupervised machine learning solutions for NLP. So before we do this, let's make sure we understand what we mean by supervised and unsupervised learning. Supervised learning involves training an algorithm to learn the relationship between the input, which would be our text data, and an output that we also provide. Say, for example, you have a data set of reviews. You have the review text, and then each reviewer also gives a review score out of 10. You can feed this into a supervised machine learning algorithm that will learn the relationship between the input text and the score to be able to make predictions about the score on new text data. On the other hand, unsupervised learning doesn't need labels. It can find patterns in the data without it. So for example, if you've ever done any clustering before or you've heard of clustering, this is a great example of an unsupervised machine learning technique. Unsupervised learning is great when you have unlabeled data but still want to be able to identify patterns or group similar items together. The choice between the two approaches depends on the availability of labeled data and the specific insights and questions that you're looking to answer. Now that we've got some understanding of what we mean by NLP and some of the techniques and approaches used, let's get started and put this into practice.